Good morning. This is the Paradise Unicorn Priestess bringing you day 79 of A Course in Miracles, the Yin translation, where we use female words. This would be March 20th if you're starting at the beginning of the new year. The decision to forget. Unless you first know something, you cannot dissociate it. Knowledge must precede dissociation, so that dissociation is nothing more than a decision to forget. What has been forgotten then appears to be fearful, but only because the dissociation is an attack on truth. You are fearful because you have forgotten, and you have replaced your knowledge by an awareness of dreams because you are afraid of your dissociation, not of what you have dissociated. When what you have dissociated is accepted, it ceases to be fearful. Yet to give up the dissociation of reality brings more than merely lack of fear. In this decision lie joy and peace and the glory of creation. Offer the Holy Spirit only your willingness to remember, for she retains the knowledge of God and of yourself for you, waiting for your acceptance. Give up gladly everything that would stand in the way of your remembering, for God is in your memory. Her voice will tell you that you are part of her. When you are willing to remember her and know your own reality again, let nothing in this world delay your remembering of her, for in this remembering is the knowledge of yourself. To remember is merely to restore to your mind what is already there. You do not make what you remember, you merely accept again what is already there, but was rejected. The ability to accept truth in this world is the perceptual counterpart of creating in the realm. God will do her part if you will do yours, and her return in exchange for yours is the exchange of knowledge for perception. Nothing is beyond her will for you, but signify your will to remember her, and behold, she will give you everything but for the asking. When you attack, you are denying yourself. You are specifically teaching yourself that you are not what you are. Your denial of reality precludes the acceptance of God's gift because you have accepted something else in its place. If you understand that this is always an attack on truth, and truth is God, you will realize why it is always fearful. If you further recognize that you are part of God, you will understand why it is that you always attack yourself first. If you realize the complete havoc this makes of your peace of mind, you could not make such an insane decision. You make it only because you still believe it can get you something you want. It follows then that you want something other than peace of mind, but you have not considered what it must be. Yet the logical outcome of your decision is perfectly clear if you will only look at it. By deciding against your reality, you have made yourself vigilant against God and her realm, and it is this vigilance that makes you afraid to remember her. Lovely food for thought. I want to share that creating the female words version of A Course in Miracles and then creating this podcast has been so deepening and beautiful for me. I had so much fear in response to A Course in Miracles, and wow, I keep trying to find ways to put into words how my perspective has changed, how kind love is, and how much I have received throughout my young years, fearful images of what love must be and what God must be, and how triggering still the word God for me can be. How helpful it is for me to review a passage in the text or the lesson, replacing the word God with love, because it helps me to get on the other side of how triggering I still find it. It's crazy. All right, lesson 79. Let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. A problem cannot be solved if you do not know what it is. Even if it is really solved already, you will still have the problem because you will not recognize that it has been solved. This is the situation of the world. The problem of separation, which is really the only problem, has already been solved. Yet the solution is not recognized because the problem is not recognized. Everyone in this world seems to have her own special problems, yet they are all the same and must be recognized as one if the solution that solves them all is to be accepted. Who can see that a problem has been solved if she thinks the problem is something else? Even if she is given the answer, she cannot see its relevance. That is the position in which you find yourself now. You have the answer, but you are still uncertain about what the problem is. A long series of different problems seems to confront you, and as one is settled, the next one and the next arise. There seems to be no end to them. There is no time in which you feel completely free of problems and at peace. The temptation to regard problems as many is the temptation to keep the problem of separation unsolved. The world seems to present you with a vast number of problems, each requiring a different answer. This perception places you in a position in which your problem solving must be inadequate, and failure is inevitable. No one could solve all the problems the world appears to hold. They seem to be on so many levels, in such varying forms, and with such varied content, that they confront you with an impossible situation. Dismay and depression are inevitable as you regard them. Some spring up unexpectedly, just as you think you have resolved the previous ones. Others remain unsolved under a cloud of denial, and rise to haunt you from time to time, only to be hidden again, but still unsolved. All this complexity is but a desperate attempt not to recognize the problem, and therefore not to let it be resolved. If you could recognize that your only problem is separation, no matter what form it takes, you could accept the answer because you would see its relevance. Perceiving the underlying consistency in all the problems that seem to confront you, you would understand that you have the means to solve them all, and you would use the means because you recognize the problem. In our longer practice periods today, we will ask what the problem is and what is the answer to it. We will not assume that we already know. We will try to free our minds of all the many different kinds of problems we think we have. We will try to realize that we have only one problem, which we have failed to recognize. We will ask what it is and wait for the answer. We will be told. Then we will ask for the solution to it, and we will be told. The exercises for today will be successful to the extent to which you do not insist on defining the problem. Perhaps you will not succeed in letting all your preconceived notions go, but that is not necessary. All that is necessary is to entertain some doubt about the reality of your version of what your problems are. You are trying to recognize that you have been given the answer by recognizing the problem, so that the problem and the answer can be brought together and you can be at peace. The shorter practice periods for today will not be set by time, but by need. You will see many problems today, each one calling for an answer. Our efforts will be directed toward recognizing that there is only one problem and one answer. In this recognition are all problems resolved. In this recognition there is peace. Be not deceived by the form of problems today. Whenever any difficulty seems to arise, tell yourself quickly, "Let me recognize this problem so it can be resolved." Then try to suspend all judgment about what the problem is. If possible, close your eyes for a moment and ask what it is. You will be heard and you will be answered. My love for A Course in Miracles is growing. It's growing by leaps and bounds, to be quite honest. What used to feel threatening is beginning to feel comforting. I see it as coming at the same thing from different angles, a slightly different angle each time. It's like, do you get it now? Okay, let's try a slightly different approach. Okay, do you get it now? All right, let's try a slightly different approach. Okay, do you get it now? If everything is an illusion, then the problems that seem so real aren't real, and they could just evaporate if only our faith would let them. We hold them in place by our firm belief that things have to make sense in the real world. Oh, this has been hammered into me so deeply, into all of us. We can't let the problems go, and so they persist. Dreams evaporate. That's what they do. You wake up from a dream and it's gone without a trace. And so it is with all the problems we see. If we didn't believe so strongly in them, they could evaporate without a trace. That's what miracles are. Miracles are continual good news. The good news that the thing that it seemed like was going to happen that was not what you wanted isn't going to happen after all. And the more faith we have, the more open-minded we are, the more we let go of our solid belief in an unpleasant world, the more we hold open the possibility for something amazing, something we never saw coming. And all of us together, we all affect one another. The more each one of us does this, the easier it is for all the others to do the same. My heart's just full of love this morning for A Course in Miracles and what it has opened to me. And I am so full of joy to share it with any who will listen. And happy practicing.